All right, look at that. Can you see me? All these tweets up here. All right, time now for the Monday Morning Analyst right here on the MMA Hour. I always ask folks on my Facebook page, cheap plug, facebook.com/Luke Thomas News. I always ask you guys, what is it you want to see on the MMA Analyst? Because it was up to me, I might pick certain things that you don't like. And everyone said overwhelmingly they wanted to see Cerrone's armbar, and they wanted to see how the elbow, essentially from Yair, was set up. So that's what we will do today. Let me show you the Cerrone armbar real quickly, and then we'll get to the Yair stuff. I have a few more things I want to say about Yair that even the audio podcast listeners, I think, can appreciate, independent of what the graphics or everything else might show. So let's go ahead and go to the screen now if we can. 2 weeks in a row, hey, we might have some success. We actually have no plug-in today. I've got the new iPad. Look at this, right? Hey, no plug-in. Woo! Nobody cares. All right, just me. All right, I don't have a ton of footage to show because I don't want to. Besides, getting to 2 finishes can get a little dicey with the UFC. They get real protective over stuff like that. So, but it aired on TV and everyone saw this stuff. Anyway, so here is Cowboy Cerrone underneath. Here is Mike Perry on top. How did this come from this position to an armbar the other way? A couple things happened. See the red tape right there? Why am I pointing when I have this? Oops, let me clear that off. Wrong one. Here we go. All right, see that red glove right there? That is Cerrone. Cerrone has the red glove, okay? So that means the blue gloves are going to be Mike Perry. Just follow along here. So you're going to see him do this. See the hand over here? The hand is behind the neck. He's going to move it in front to frame. When he moves it in front to frame, Mike Perry decides, aha, Americana time. Or they call them key locks or paintbrushes. Essentially, hand in line with the ear. The hand goes back, the elbow comes forward to the point where then they drive it. Well, they kind of drive it on the same line as the ear, but they kind of drive it in and down. I literally, because of my shoulder therapy, I literally can't even put my back against the wall and have my elbows touch. So imagine if someone is manipulating it past even a natural point of discomfort, right? So that's what happens. He now tries to set up. You see him reaching here. Look right there. See that? That's the position for the key lock right there that he's trying to set up. And the problem is, as soon as he sets it up, Cerrone decides, I'm going to bring, if someone has a key lock out here and you bring it to your body and then put your weight to the side, on the same side, so now rather than having my back on the mat, my shoulders on the mat, it kills it, right? Because now you're mechanically in a place where they don't have a lot of leverage over you. So that's what he does. He kind of goes to his side, except this time he keeps going to his base. Already Mike Perry's in trouble. Joe, why is Mike Perry in trouble? Do you know? You don't know, right? His hips are in the air. You see that? Look at that. All the way in the air to the point his feet are off the ground. That's a major problem for him. If 2 places you don't want to be are someone completely on top of you or someone lifting your weight off the ground, either with a body lock or some kind of guard they're using. His weight is all up in the air. And here's the thing that Mike Perry is doing. He's still holding on to, if I go back here, look, he's still holding on to the Kimura, or excuse me, the paintbrush. He doesn't let it go. That's a major problem for one reason. Number one, his weight gets picked up. Look at this. His weight is completely up off the ground. That means he can get turned and pulled and maneuvered because you don't have any control over your body anymore. The other problem is when you're back here, if someone tries a Kimura on you, you can actually go around their arm, not a Kimura, I'm sorry, a paintbrush. Someone tries a paintbrush or Americana or a key lock on you, you can actually go around, key lock them, and then actually turn that into a reversal. Cerrone doesn't do that. But what he does do is he goes to his base. By the way, if he did that if he did that key lock on Perry, it would look similar to this. It actually would go almost identically. He doesn't do that. What he does do is he gets to his base. Perry holds on to the key lock way too long. So watch what happens. He realizes, look at him. He realizes he's in trouble here. Floating, and he's going to lose control. Now look at also something. Look at that arm. It's deep on the inside of the body of Cerrone. What does that mean? That means you can attach it to yourself and you can bring it across, which will open them up, or attach it to your body. Now you can control them, right? So you've got the weight off the ground and now the arm is being tucked in way underneath. 2 recipes for disaster on a thing like this. I actually think that this is Cerrone is doing that same key lock reversal from side control, just in a different way. He goes from side control to his hips, and if they hold on to the key lock for too long, then he does what he's about to do. Kind of similar to a Von Flue choke. What's a Von Flue choke? It's when someone holds on to that position, like a guillotine, in the wrong position too long. If you hold on to something in the wrong position too long, there's all kinds of counters to it, which is exactly what you're going to see here. So now you see Cerrone is even deeper. Look at how high the hips are off the ground of Perry. He's got no attachment to the ground whatsoever, posting on that right hand. He's just going to pick him up. Look at the arm. Look at the arm of Perry. It's all the way across like a seatbelt, like you're doing the discount double check in your Aaron Rodgers. It's all the way across there. And now all he's going to do is sit up, and he's going to swim back around with his own left arm, like there. Why is he doing that? Because when he puts this underhook on the far side, now he has a method of control across his body when he comes up on top. That underhook, without it, he could just sit up again. He is claiming the inside space here on top. It's a very, very necessary condition. It's also good for passing. It's a lot of different things, right? So he gets on top, blah, 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 tries to go knee on belly, blah, blah, blah. Now Perry eventually gets to his feet, and you can see Cerrone tries to take the back. Oops, not a lot to say about that. Well, I'm still learning how to use this new iPad. This is a terrible position. I don't want to go into it because we're short on time, but you can just, look, he's got sort of like an over-under here. A lot of times, by the way, guys in grappling, I don't know if this is what Mike Perry thought. I don't know. A lot of times guys will think if they can sneak one arm behind the leg of their opponent, that they can then come out the back door. You can't. I'm not saying that's what he was thinking. I don't know. But I see this a lot sometimes with guys who are like, oh, this guy's getting too far up. Let me sink in. I'll put my arm around this leg, and I'll use that to come out and around, and bad things happen to you. If you wanted to hold on to that to then come to your base to then go to a single, that's a way you could do it, but just sneaking out the back. And again, I'm not saying Mike Perry was doing that. I'm just sort of making a point here. I see this kind of thing a lot. Anyway, he shakes off Donald Cerrone, and now we go to guard, right? So here's guard. Okay, real quickly, who had the blue gloves? Mike Perry. Who had the red gloves? Cowboy Cerrone. So look at this. You've got a glove of Mike Perry extended all the way down by the head. Ooh, that's a no-no. Because you've got a guy like Donald Cerrone who's got real look at that arm. Look at this arm from Mike Perry. Let me just look at this. Look at that. Arm bar city all the time. It's just all the way. He's bent over, arm extended. I'm not saying that you can't bend over and then punch. Of course, Mike Perry knows that a lot better than I do. I'm just saying with a guy who's got real dynamic hips like Donald Cerrone, it's just a risk you're running. You know what I mean? So he runs the risk. And look at Cerrone. Cerrone, watch his right hand. He's got it kind of trapped like this. He's going to whip his hip. So what happens is he actually drops this leg and then whips it around as he pushes the head away, because you're creating a lane for the leg to come around like that. See that? You just whip it around and look at his hips in the air, yeah? Donald Cerrone has always had a really good guard, and the reason why is, yes, he's long and lanky, but it's more than that. He's got dynamic hips. He moves them quickly. He identifies attacks very, very easily and just makes it work and rolls from there. Anyway, so here's the issue. I think it looks to me like right there he's grabbing behind the leg so he doesn't get slammed, but I think he felt like if I do that, I'm going to lose this arm. So it looks to me like he kind of lets go of it and then gets dumped on his head and then holds on to it like this. And then Mike Perry tries to helicopter around and kind of stops there. So I've talked about this before. If you wanted to really do this, quote unquote, the right way, which by the way is not necessarily always right. Again, I'm not in any way critiquing. You would put the shin behind the head so that you can flip them. I've talked about this a number of times. But man, if you know you've gotten it, you're taking a risk by just going belly down like that. On the other hand, if you know you've gotten it, and he said he could feel it snap before he even went belly down, if you go belly down, you can get tremendous torque. So it's all about weighing the risk and the reward. Getting the tap and getting the arm broken means that he did it the right way. So, of course, he just watched this from Cerrone. Just, look at that. Oh, God damn it. That's me when I see the alarm in the morning when I have to come 6 states away to come up here. All right, so that's the arm bar. I could go in more detail, but you get the idea from there. That's basically how we set it up. It was just, he was just a much better grappler. It's kind of simple as that. All right, so let's get into this Yair Rodriguez stuff. Now, here's the deal with this. People ask me, was that elbow legit, throwing it behind himself like that? The answer is 100%. 100% legit, 100% technique. I can go through all 5 rounds. And in all 5 rounds, I can find all of the ingredients that led up to that moment. Basically, here's what was happening. Chan Sung Jung was noticing from his orthodox position, you did see some stance switching from Yair. He was noticing that Yair would just kind of pose off with him. With his hands low, he could either fire the right straight. He could fire the right straight and it would land. Or what he would do is he would get Yair to commit, and then through the countering, he'd blitz or jam him, kind of running him back. What would happen was he could get on the inside of the reach of Yair, number one. And number two, Yair often, though not always, goes straight back. Now, there are times where he circles out. There are times where he goes straight back and then circles. I don't want to tell you that he's always walking back straight. That's not true. It's true enough that you could see that pattern develop, but it wasn't like completely true. So, with that in mind, I don't have time to go through this entire 5-round fight. I just picked 3 excerpts from the second round. From the second round, here's what's happening. As I mentioned, you're going to get a guy who's going to either jab his way in, get a reaction, and then jam the space, or a feint, get a reaction, jam the space. And what would happen was he would get so far on top of Yair that Yair would just have no space left but to throw an elbow or to catch him. Or to catch him with an elbow coming in. He would lose the ability to be back at jab distance. You would see some of the push kicks were working for Yair when he would throw them, but he kind of got away from them. He had good leg kicks early. He had some push kicks, I think, through the first half of the bout. But really, in the end, that was what he was trying to do, was trying to keep that distance because Korean Zombie was trying to close that gap quickly, push him back, make him make mistakes, and then beat him with his boxing combinations in the process. So here's the second round. God damn it. All right, here's the second round. Again, he's jamming him. Look at the space that Yair is walking. They're at the center of the cage. He just goes straight back. Now, you'll notice the Korean Zombie doesn't throw anything here. I'm using this as merely an illustrative example of what he was looking for. Through the jab, he got blocked, jams the space, feints with the right, noticing the reactions. But what happens? Now he's behind the 2 black lines. If you've been watching this podcast since I did it before I was taking over this show, you know how important it is. All the offense, for the most part, happens here, folks. All of it happens behind these 2 black lines. That's the danger zone. That's the warning track. That's the first encounter, all right? And then he jabs his way back out. All right, here's another one. Watch this at about the 14-second mark. He tries this would be a Harai Goshi. Can't get it, right? He blocks himself. Now watch. They trade hands. Here we go. He's going to come in and look at that, anticipating it when he comes in. And pay special attention to something. Watch the eyes of Yair. Kind of never takes them off. He misses here a little bit because he misjudges it. This is my point. He's backing out straight. When the guy comes into him, he's waiting for all different kinds of elbow combinations. Here's another one he throws a little bit later. By the way, just getting by the 2 black lines. Jabs, right? Pushes him away. Lunges with that straight right I was talking about before because his hands are kind of down. He's not expecting it. He gets him on the half beat. Now he's going to blitz, change his sides. Watch this. Boop. And it lands flush. This is what I mean. He's already on top of you. Look at, for me, the eyeballs of Yair Rodriguez. He's looking even when he's doing this, when he's over here and looking. He's looking at all times, right? So, God damn it. So, God damn it. There. Hold on. Oh, here. So he nails him here. See that? Boom. Catches him. And look at the eyeballs He sees it. He looks before he lands at all times. So you're going to say, Luke, what does that got to do with the finish? I'll wrap up here. And then he grabs him on and underhooks and blah, blah, blah. Here's the finish. What did we talk about before? He's going to lead with a jab off of some kind of offense, or he's going to lunge right in. He's going to push Yair back in a straight line, which is what you see here. Look at him. By the way, changing stances almost. Look at that. Changes stances, fires the punch, and then eats the elbow, right? He's changing stances through, God damn it, combination. Yeah? But did you notice the path? Look at how linear this path is. Look at that. Super linear, right? He was waiting for it. And then he just jams you on top of you to the point where you've got nowhere left to go. So that's where these elbow attacks come in at the last minute. And then he cracks him with that one. Let's take another look at it from a different angle. Yeah? And he backs away. What a ridiculous win that is, huh? Amazing. Look at him here. Changing stances. He ducks. This is what I was telling you before. Whenever he throws an elbow, he's not closing his eyes and then throwing. He's looking the whole time. Look at this little nugget of a detail. Can't quite see it here. It looks to me like when he throws this elbow, he actually looks up behind himself and lands it here. So he's got Korean Zombie coming over the top of him like this, and he looks and lands just like that. Let's look at one more angle if we can. All right, and then he collapses. Ridiculous. Look at this. Watch the eyes of Yair. Very little there. It looks like he's looking straight down, but if you look really closely here, it looks to me like he's recoiling back so he can get just a peek out of the corner of his eye right there to land. So this is all about the forward pressure of Korean Zombie. And yes, maybe Yair could be better about, working his jab and his footwork and circling out better. But he developed this system to deal with guys who put a lot of pressure on him, collapse the space, and when they get on top of him, he's got these last-minute elbow attacks from funky angles, timed very weirdly, and he's able to land them just like that. And I think he gets just a peek out of the corner of his eyes. I don't think he's looking straight down at the mat. Amazing, amazing win by Yair Rodriguez. Certainly one of the best knockouts I've ever seen, one of the best knockouts in UFC history, and another reason why MMA is basically impossible. That's the Monday Morning Analyst. All right, let's do this. Okay. We go now to the phones. Do we have our esteemed guest? Okay, is he on phone or is he on Skype? I don't even remember. All right, let's go to him now. This guy's, in my judgment, he is the best combat sports broadcaster in the world. I've been dying to get a hold of him when we had the new show, and we finally have a chance. Morrow Ranallo joins the show. Hi, Morrow. How are you?
Hey, Luke, congratulations, and glad to be talking with you, my friend, and glad that you are beginning to get more and more of the exposure that you deserve. I remember when I was doing a podcast or these combat sports radio shows before they became in vogue or caricature as it is nowadays, and I was always, first of all, impressed at not only your knowledge, but the passion and the gravitas that you bring to MMA media. So I appreciate what you're doing, sir, and it's a pleasure to be joining you on the MMA Hour.
Well, thank you for making time for us, Morrow. I really appreciate it. Hey, I wanted to tell you, I had seen the documentary, The Bipolar Rock and Roller, a little while ago. I took the time over the weekend to watch the interview you did with Tyson Fury. What a, man, that was it's more than just heavy. It's important. It's different. Here's my question to you, Morrow. You're open about these issues, and you've talked about them a lot. How did you get him? Like, was he willing before the cameras even rolled to just talk about all these things? Because he appeared to leave no stone unturned.
Yeah, he is very committed. And thank you, by the way, for mentioning the doc, because as I begin to end my 40s and begin my 50s sooner than I would like, I am becoming more and more of a mental health advocate. I've been to New York the last 3 weeks to participate in panels and to be acknowledged for my mental health advocacy. But when it comes to Tyson Fury, he not only, was very open. He wanted to do the interview, and it's something that I have christened the most important interview of my career because of the fact that since the release of the documentary on Showtime back in May, I have been overwhelmed, inundated. I know I'm known for my hyperbole when it comes to selling the combat sports product, but I can't understate Luke, the feedback and the impact that this little documentary has made. And I've heard from so many people who I will not breach their trust. If they want to come forward, they will. But I'm talking titans in not only combat sports, but other sports and other industry, the entertainment industry, the business industry. And so to have someone like Tyson Fury, who is the lineal heavyweight champion, a man who stands 6'9" and doesn't, I guess, fit the stereotype of, someone who has mental health issues. It is just illuminating to me that more and more we are having a discussion that should have been taking place long ago. The stigma surrounding mental health and the countless numbers of people we are losing to suicide born out of that stigma is what propelled me to tell my story. And I'm very gracious that people like Tyson Fury wanted to share their stories and so many others. Luke, you giving me this platform shows that you want to smash the stigma. The countless celebrities and musicians and athletes who are now coming forward and talking about their own issues with mental health. And let's face it, combat sports, we always talk about what's become a cliche, 80 to 90% mental. Well, it is. And when it comes to that aspect, we always celebrate the winners and we go on and immediately say, what's next? What about the losers? What's next for them and how are they internalizing and dealing with these setbacks that can be soul crushing? So I think mental health, there is no health without mental health. And I'm just very grateful that Tyson Fury came forward and so many others. Brian Dawkins at the NFL Hall of Fame ceremony. I mean, there's toxic masculinity in this world, Luke, and I'm not trying to, quote unquote, pussify our society. I'm just trying to let people know that we are all going through something. And the more we internalize it, the more that we do not deal with it by simply starting to talk about it, the more losses we are going to incur. And the World Health Organization has deemed the mental health crisis the biggest humanitarian crisis of our time. So I'm glad we're finally starting to wake up, and I know I'm going to continue to bang my drum until my final breath has been released from my body.
Well, Morrow, I don't know if you know this. I don't have a problem talking about it. It's painful for me, but it's important that we not hide from these facts. I lost my mother tragically to suicide in 2003. So you raising these kinds of issues and then hearing Tyson Fury talk about himself being on the verge of death, both because of the panic attack he was in and mentally where he was, I think is incredibly important. So on that note, Morrow, the most interesting insight, the tidbit that you walked away from that Tyson Fury interview, what stood out to you the most?
A great question. And simply, he actually taught me something that I had been juggling